All right, good afternoon. The September 28th meeting of the Longview Parks and Recreation Advisory Board is now called to order. Today's meeting is being conducted via teleconference, and normally we would have our chairperson run the meeting, but because of all of our technical issues and doing this via teleconference, I'm going to take the controls on this one, just so it makes it a little bit smoother for everybody. So the first thing that we're going to do is a roll call. So when I call your name, please respond if you are present. So we will start with Steve Crane.
Present.
Richard Lazarus.
I'm here.
Mary Sandars. And she did let me know that she was not able to attend today. Mark Robinson. Okay. David Stanton.
Present.
Joyce Williams.
Present.
And Gene Gallion let me know he was not able to attend. So we do have a quorum. We have 4 members present. We'll also let you know that we do have parks staff here, as well as city manager Keith Bonds. So we have Ray Bostic, we have Seth Pyle, and we also have Brandon Adair here. So the first item on the agenda is citizen comment. Those wishing to participate in citizen comment were invited to access the meeting through a link to register for the application. Richard Yankley is assisting us with this. And when you're called to speak, you'll be unmuted and given 1 minute, or given an opportunity to speak for 3 minutes. Richard, do we have anybody on the line today?
No one is registered at this time to participate in citizen comment.
All right. Well, we will move on then. So the minutes, because we did not have a quorum at the June 22nd meeting, we do need approval of the February 24th meeting minutes. We didn't provide any of the June 22nd notes, but we'll get those out to everybody as we did have that meeting. So I will now entertain a motion to approve the February 24th, 2020 minutes.
I'll make that motion, last.
Okay,
Second, Steve Crane.
so we had a motion by Richard Lazarus and a second by Steve Crane. When I call your name, please indicate your vote by saying yes or no. Steve Crane.
Yes.
Richard Lazarus.
Yes.
David Stanton.
Yes.
And Joyce Williams.
Yes.
So the record of the vote is 4-0, so that passes. The next item on the agenda is the consent agenda, which is where we go over all the things that are currently happening within the Parks and Recreation Department. So the first one is want to give everybody an update on where we are on our recreation centers. So Broughton Recreation Center, Paul Martin Jones are both at 75% capacity. If you guys all know, the governor issued a new executive order about a week and a half ago now that allowed for fitness centers to increase their capacity from 50% to 75%. And so at both of those facilities, we have increased our capacity to that. I will note that we never did reach close to 50% capacity. So it's kind of a moot point for us, at least at this point, but did want to let everybody know that that was the case. Also on Paula Martin Jones, we have had a few changes to the operations. We're operating under a modified schedule as far as hours of operation are concerned. So we're going Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Previously, we had been open a little bit earlier than that, as well as closing a little bit later. However, because of the reduced capacity issues, but then also just the actually what we're seeing in people attending the facility, we've reduced that a little bit. Also wanted to note that the pool will be closed daily between 1 and 4 p.m. And that goes into effect October 1 with the new fiscal year. And the reason for that was we were getting 2 or 3 people per day that were swimming over the entire duration of those 3 hours. And that's just a pretty inefficient way for us to be able to continue to operate. So the facility is available for fitness and a little bit of basketball and all those kind of things. However, the pool requires us to have 2 lifeguards on duty at all times. And so having 6 hours of staff to try to watch 2 or 3 people over the course of those 3 hours is just not very good use of our resources. We didn't feel moving forward. So we have posted that for about 2 weeks now. And, we've had a couple of people question that. However, they do certainly understand what we're going with. So we're moving forward with that, and that will save us a little bit of funding. And of course, with the new fiscal year, it is a little bit challenged from an expense standpoint. So this helps out just a little bit. As far as fitness programs, those will begin in January. We've been doing a little bit of things, but mainly it's just been opening the facility, trying to understand how we're going to operate these facilities and what protocols need to be in place. If you recall, one of the major things that we did while the facility was closed, I guess it's been almost 9 months ago now, there was a concern or complaint about our showers. And so this is what they looked like. And at that time, we said we had already planned on doing an upgrade to the showers themselves. And so this is what it looked like before. And this is what it looks like now.
Holy smoke. Like an HGTV show.
Yeah. So, I know, our showers hadn't been opened, but when we were open at 50%, but they are open now because we've completed all this and all those kind of things. And so, as you can tell, there's a drastic difference between that and what we have currently. So I think when everybody goes into those showers, I think they'll be very, very pleased with what we have now as comparison to what we had before. And so there are actually more shower stalls available than there were previously. And, all of the issues that we heard about the flooring, the lighting, the accessibility and all those kind of things we did address. So again, it took a little bit, but we did get it all in order.
Great job.
So aquatics, the swimming season is over now. And again, I would say, I say this every year, we had a successful season because it ended without us having any major incidents. That's my view of a successful season. So again, because of all of the protocols that were in place, Swim Center opened about a week later than what it normally would. Jackman opened up again about 2 months after it normally would, because we would normally, actually 3 months, I guess we would normally open that up around April 1, 2.5 months anyway. And then Ingram opened up towards the end of June. Again, those are, you see all the closing time periods there. Overall, our attendance was down about 60%. The vast majority of that was really at Ingram. Swim Center attendance was down about 40%. So it wasn't quite as drastic as what Ingram was. But again, you understand that. Again, just a reminder, we did operate in sessions. So there are 2-hour time blocks for each of those facilities. And so that probably limited some of it, as well as just the uncertainty and the fear of COVID-related items. So, we're still, we'll think about next year as we get into the spring. But again, not what we wanted, but certainly we're I think to us, we didn't have any incidents or major issues. We didn't have any outbreaks. There was, we put into place a good plan. We executed it, and we're glad we did for our residents. So we are kind of getting back into what we would normally do. We really only have about 3 programs running at this time. Adult softball. We canceled, the spring and the summer seasons, but we are operating summer softball this fall. And we were only down a few teams from last year, which was good. I think people are excited to be able to get back out and play and participate in that. Our karate classes have actually increased in their attendance. Again, I think people are just anxious to have some type of participation and get back to normal. Our karate classes and our instructors are doing a great job with the social distancing and doing all those kind of things. They wear their masks, they're sanitizing. So all of the protocols that we have implemented and put in place, everybody is adhering to, which is fantastic. And dog obedience is one of our most popular classes all the time. And it's pretty much one that has social distancing, because when you have a animal you're trying to teach how to do all the right things, you need a lot of space anyway. So that's going pretty well. Our athletic tournaments have picked up and continued. We had a new tournament director this past weekend for adult or not for adults, for youth softball. So it was a college exposure tournament. So we had 13 college coaches in, as well as 18 softball teams, 16s and 18-year-olds. And she had the tournament director was very pleased with our facility and our staff. And so she's going to try to get a couple of more dates for next year. So we're really excited about that. Soccer is going right now. The one that we don't know about quite yet is Little League football. They normally use Womack Field during the fall, but we've been in communication with them, but they just haven't initiated anything quite yet. So a couple other things going on. We've had some good, this past weekend we had a good volunteer project. We had with one of the churches, we had about 60 people volunteer and help us at a couple of the parks. And the big project is putting the safety surface out at Kids View. We get a semi trailer full of the safety surface essentially, and it takes a lot of people to help get that out. Normally when we do it with our skid loader, and it takes pretty much all of our crews a couple of days to do that. So they were able to do most of it in one Saturday morning. And there's still a little bit left that we need to get out there, but we're looking for another volunteer group to do that. And if we can't, then we'll get our guys to do that. Also note on there, we are working on a new mowing contract for all of our parks and athletic facilities. So that's been a long process that we've been going through to get all the maps correct and all the specifications in there to be able to have that done. And we're consolidating a lot of the contracts. Right now, the parks have 3 different ones that we operate under. And so moving forward, we're going to have one for the city overall that'll be doing a whole bunch of things. I think overall, the city has about a dozen or 15 different mowing contracts. So it takes a lot of time to be able to coordinate all that from a administrative standpoint. And then also remembering who's doing what and being able to check up on them. So one will be obviously a whole lot more efficient, but will also present some challenges as well. So we'll work through that and see how it goes and be able to hopefully have a great contractor for us. So. As I told you earlier this year, one of the projects that Brandon has been working on is our trail users and tracking our usage of those. And so we rotate a couple of our different trackers throughout the community. So we get asked quite a bit, what our use is. And so nearly 600 people a day utilize our trails. To me, it's pretty interesting that for the most part, it's pretty consistent 7 days a week. There's not this significant decrease, although Thursday's the least amount. But if you look at all of the trails that we take a look at, it's pretty consistent across the board. So people are out there on a daily basis for the most part. And again, this is just a, I don't know how accurate it is when 2 or 3 people are walking, next to each other necessarily. So it's probably a little bit higher than this. But we're, we get quite a bit of use on our trails. And so we also have a couple of places out, another place on Cargill, one on Guthrie. And then when the new sections will get completed, we'll put a couple more trackers out as well. The skate park is progressing nicely. They anticipate getting done over the next couple of weeks. Here are the frames being built. So it's been a long process and project to get going, but we're excited to be able to get this wrapped up. As you can see, the frames there. So the biggest part moving forward will be the skate surface itself. It's a skate light, which is a specific non-abrasive surface that allows for bikes and skateboards and rollerblades and all those kind of things to roll smoothly and transition over all of those items. And the trails, so as you can see, this is Guthrie Trail. We say phases 2 and 3, and the way the contractor is broken it up, it's kind of the north section and the south section. So this is the north section between Eden and then all the way down to Johnson Street. And so the blue signifies the sections that have not been completed. So there's just a strip between Eden and Hoyt there. And the picture on the right is the retaining wall that's been put in. So all that's ready for us to be able to pour that trail. It's just getting in there with some dry weather to be able to do that. So the red portion is that which has been poured. And so we have about, that's a little over 5,000 linear feet of concrete, and we have less than 1,000 feet to go on that section. Of course, you know that the bridge over or underneath Guthrie or Judson right there continue to be on the east side. They anticipate traffic being moved over. Originally, we said September 1, but obviously that has come and gone. And then we were hoping for October 1, and that has come and gone. And so now we're hoping by November 1 that the traffic will be switched over to the other side. And so there's just been a couple issues with that. Nothing major by any stretch, but we'll get it moved over. I know everybody's anticipating that getting done. And then on the south section, which goes from McCann all the way linking up with Trailhead there on Highway 80 and Borman Trail, they have started doing the clearing of the trail and the dirt work in order to get it up to grade. And so there's again, a fair amount of work that'll be done for the most part, more on that, the southernmost section as it crosses both of those creeks. We do have 2 additional pedestrian bridges that'll be going in. One will be across Grace Creek. That's about 80 feet right there by the clicker. And then the other one will be about 100 feet right there across where Guthrie and Grace kind of meet heading south there. So progressing pretty well on this project. And unfortunately, we're starting to get into the wetter time of the year. But most part, as long as we don't get some serious flooding, they should be able to work out there most of the time. So. And lastly, just want to briefly review where we are on the budget. So there are 3 columns there. The one on the left is our current fiscal year budget that'll be ending here in just a few days. Along with the second column, which is where we anticipate finishing the year out, and then what we have for a budget for next fiscal year. So as you can see on the parks side of things, we had a budget of a little over $2.6 million. At mid-year, when the pandemic hit and everything, we really looked to reduce our expenses along with every other department within the city. And so saved about $500,000 from what we had originally budgeted. The bulk of that was in removing the trailhead that would have been close to Aiken Park along the Guthrie Trail, the phase 1 extension. And then for next year, a pretty similar budget to what we have, where we're going to end this year end. The bulk of the savings in the personnel aspect of it is we have one position that is currently frozen. And so hopefully if the economy turns around, which it has for the most part the past 2 months, then we may be able to open that position. But the biggest difference in contractual you'll see there is from last year to this year is, again, it kind of goes all in the personnel. So for the FY20 budget, we had 2 additional staff people that we were going to bring on to help us with the Arboretum. But we chose to contract those services out. It opened up, the Arboretum opened up later. And so we put that in contracts. And then for this upcoming year, rather than hire those positions, we're just going to contract directly with the Arboretum so that they can provide those services. Just kind of makes it a whole lot easier, I think, from everybody's perspective. The Arboretum will be able to control that, feel they're in control a whole lot more than what they were previously. And we're not caught in the middle of what they want versus what we're asking the contractor to do. So that's the biggest difference there in the contractual why that has gone up. So,
Doc, you don't have any capital next year?
no, sir.
Wow.
No. We were pretty fortunate. Past couple of years, we've been able to replace quite a bit, and certainly for this upcoming year, considering the financial challenges and everything, we have a lot of projects with the bond projects for the parks themselves and playgrounds, and so we know we'll have a good amount there. As far as vehicles, we do have some vehicle replacements, but it's not in the capital side of things because we've changed to a lease program. But all of our rolling stock that we use at the ball fields and everything, we've past couple of years we've been able to replace it and get it up to where it needs to be. And so we think we can hold off for a year. And I know in previous conversations with the city manager that if there is an a real need because of a critical piece of equipment has gone down, I think we can probably figure out a way to be able to purchase that. Our equipment isn't quite as costly as what Public Works is. Most of ours are in the range of, $13,000 to $25,000, not in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. So,
Yeah. Okay.
So on the recreation side of things, again, same format. About $1.6 million in our current budget. Spend about 1.4. The bulk of that savings is in personnel. And again, we have a couple of positions that are not filled at the moment and will be frozen moving forward. But then we also had one position that retired that we're not going to fill that position. So there's some savings there. The other part of it is on part-time. Again, we've really looked at how we operate from our recreation centers to our pools to be as efficient as possible on the part-time and seasonal staff to take a look at this. So it's pretty similar where we ended the year as to where we're moving for next fiscal year. And again, if you want to see the real impact of what the pandemic has had on us from a revenue standpoint, previous years, we'd been in that $275,000 to $300,000 in revenue. And this year we'll be, I'm actually happy to say that we'll actually be about 115,000. So it's more than what we have here, but still nowhere near what we had been previously. So we know this upcoming year will be challenged as well, but we feel that we can adjust our programming and get things back to quote unquote normal a little bit more, hopefully next year. And so we'll be able to generate a little bit more on the revenue side of things. So I think that's about all I have on all of that, but I'd be happy to answer any questions you had on all that. All right. Well, so moving on, we do have an action item. And so in your packet is a request from Brian Dodson to rename the skate park, or to name the skate park over at Ingram Park. Brian had been receiving quite a few messages and from Facebook and things that, people asking about naming it and suggesting that it should be named after him, since he was the one that spearheaded that and had provided the fundraising to get the $40,000 matching from that the city would match. So he has requested to rename it Dodson Action Sports Complex, and he understands that there may be some hesitation with that, and so if that's not appropriate, then moving forward with Longview Action Sports Complex is what he would suggest. And so the process is the name is suggested and requested and put before you guys, and then it would be advertised in the newspaper 2 times over a 30-day period, and then it would go to city council for their final approval. So with that, are there comments or questions about this?
Did he put up any of his own money on that?
Oh, yeah.
I'm not. I know he did. I'm not sure. I think in his letter, I think he said about $4,500 of his own money.
I think it's perfectly appropriate. He worked very hard to bring it here, and he put a lot of time and effort into it. And his name is not so incredibly long or complicated that people couldn't remember it. So, and I like the Action Sports Complex name instead of just Skateboard Park.
Right. This is Steve Crane. I have no objections to it. Makes good sense to me based on his time, effort, and money. I mean, he's been pretty dedicated to putting this forward and getting it done.
I agree.
This is Joyce, and I think with naming it after him, it gives ownership and kind of opens the door for other young people to start investing back into Longview and back into the park system. So I think it's a spearhead, and I will agree with the name wholeheartedly.
That's a good point. Plus, this goes into the paper, I see, a couple of times in the next month. So if anybody comes forward, I mean, we could address that, right?
Yes, sir. Those questions will be asked of me, that are directed my way, and then I'll make sure if there are any questions or anything, I forward those on to you guys. But if you guys approve, then it would go to city council to be placed on their agenda.
All right. Well, this is Dave Stanton, and I will propose that we accept this naming, and I'll move that we proceed with this and through the proper channels and see what happens.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second. This is Joyce, and I'll second.
All right. So we have a first and a second, and we'll do a roll call vote. So if when asked, please vote by saying yes or no. Steve Crane,
Yes.
Richard Lazarus,
Yes.
David Stanton,
Yes.
and Joyce Williams.
Yes.
All right, so the vote passes 4-0, and we will move forward with that process. So the last item on the agenda is the bond election projects. So as indicated on the screen there, we are in the last quarter of fiscal year 2020, and we should be in construction on all of our park projects. And the only one that we are not, actually, I guess there are two that we're not in construction quite yet, and that's Broughton and Cargill. But there are reasons for that. So park improvements, I don't have a whole lot of pretty pictures because they just mobilized their trailer to McWhorter Park last week. But in order to move forward with these projects, this is a picture of Stamper Park. And as you recall, we had the rail cars and the fire training site over there, and they have all been removed. And so the site is ready for construction to begin over there. So I know this is a welcome move for all of those items, and I think they have their next resting site all in place, and everything has gone well with getting everything over there. So with Cargill Long Trail, we have, I think, finalized all of the plans and moving forward. We haven't had a whole lot of response from the pipeline company, so we're going to make some small modifications to be able to accommodate the appropriate depths and those kind of things. But we're probably going to wait until after the first of the year to go out to bid for that project and get into the better time of year to be able to get that going forward. So probably looking at bidding that after the first of the year, awarding that sometime in the spring, and then construction this summer for Cargill Long Trail. So Lear Park, and there's quite a bit of activity going on out there. The picture on the left-hand side is where the new softball fields are. So if you're standing where the Miracle Field is, looking back to the west and then north maybe a little bit, these are where the two new softball fields will go. They had quite the logging operation going on back there as they cleared all of that area. And so now they're just working on getting all of the tree stumps out and getting all the finer brush out as well. The picture on the right is the baseball fields. And again, those are the ones that are just to the as you come in off Cotton Street side of things. Again, just a lot of dirt moving out there in order to get that to grade. So they have a pretty good schedule that they've put together. They do have a year and a half to complete this project, but they anticipate getting done probably by next December. So still not sure when they're going to do the soccer fields. Originally, they were going to wait a while to do those, but we told them they are more than, we're anxious to get that started. And if they want to get in there earlier, we can work with the soccer leagues to be able to get those done sooner rather than later. So I think they're readjusting their schedule to try to get those in maybe this winter. So we're excited about that. And then the Arboretum, again, this is phase 2 of the Arboretum. So there are 3 pergolas. So that picture on the bottom left, those posts are actually concrete posts. And if you zoom in, it's kind of hard to, I know on your screen there and everything, but it looks like an actual tree. I mean, you can't tell that that's not, but it's a concrete post. So, I mean, it blends in pretty incredibly. And the other 3 are just wrapped in the plastic for everything. But again, we wanted some unique features out there, and that certainly is one of them. So where Kelly, that's our inspector, he's out there standing on that pad, and that's a flagstone pad that obviously is dirty right now, but it'll get cleaned up, and we'll get a glider overlooking the lake. So the one on the right is the Japanese pergola. And again, this one is pretty unique as well. And so that you see the framing on the top of the picture, and that goes on top of those posts over there. It'll be curved. And so if you think of Asian, imagery kind of, with the curved tops of buildings and things, that's what's going on top of those posts. So that'll be the second pergola. And then the third one is a larger gathering area that will have the split face block with stone veneer, and then the metal post and top, similar to the pavilion that is out there already. So those are all moving forward. We anticipate that getting done by the end of October. And then lastly, again, just to talk briefly about Broughton Park and Broughton Recreation Center. Here's the overall plan view and concept of that facility. And then the exciting part is getting into renovating the front of that building, and making that addition and really making that pop. And so that's what it will look like at its conclusion. And again, what we try to do is blend some of the old look of that building in with the new, but then also update it to make it much more visually appealing for everybody coming in that facility. So we're just in final design right now, working through all of that. At this point, we plan on getting that out to bid in November. And so just working towards that as we have all our different departments looking over all of the plans to make sure that they meet everything that we needed to do.
Scott, I failed to ask when you were talking about park improvements, about the improvements to Lois Jackson Park. We're talking about a bathroom over there, remember, and I think another pavilion. What's an update on that?
Sure. So the contractor mobilized last week, and so we don't have the schedule. We had a pre-construction meeting 3 weeks ago, and he had some questions about some of the activities and things that they could do with parks and where to put their construction trailer and all that kind of stuff. And so he's finalizing that schedule, and will get that to us. I don't know. I think he's going to work on all of them a little bit all at the same time. So like several of the parks have bathrooms and or pavilions and those kind of things. And so ordering all of those at one time and then putting them all up at the different parks all at the same time is kind of what their plan is. So, it's a 1-year contract from September, so we should have everything done, by this time next year. But I don't have a detailed schedule for when he's working on things in particular. So.
Well, I just did want to say that on the Borman Trail, that new mowing layout that you've got, you made them start cutting wider.
Yes, sir.
That's really going to improve, especially on that section of the trail that's south of Fairmont. It's kind of it's going to look a whole lot better, cutting that big wider swath through there.
Yeah, we changed the specification on that. I think before it was essentially 2 mower widths. And so we went to 30 feet out from the edge of the trail, or between trees, or kind of the tree line, if you will. So again, just providing a little bit more open space in there, because we did get, I wouldn't say quite a bit. We got an occasional phone call questioning how or what we did on that. And so You got to stop somewhere. That's what we always try to tell people is, we can't, it is nature. It is a floodplain. So we can't, it's not going to be your yard, but we do want it to be visually appealing to everybody as they utilize it.
It'll look good. That's all I have.
Anyone else?
I'd like to say thank you, Richard, for helping us get our teleconference together here.
Yes.
My pleasure.
I just want to say it's great to see the fire training facility being moved from the neighborhood, number one, but also that the fire department has got going to have anyway, some updated training facilities so they can continue doing the great job that they're doing. It's just, it's great for the community not to have that eyesore and health hazard in it. And it's great that the fire department will be able to continue their training. So that's great news.
Yes, sir. And, the biggest point to us is we're able to, it's a real big win-win for everybody, I think, because we're able to utilize that space as I think it's really intended, which is, for the public good and as a park. So we're excited to be able to reutilize that space. Well, if we don't have anything else, we will adjourn and we'll be speaking with everybody soon. Thanks a lot.